Yo, what's up everyone? Sim here with another rankings video, and a fun one at that. Let's rank my first 10 Steam completions. Now, I've been a trophy hunter for the better part of 10 years, and on PlayStation have amassed about 300 platinum trophies in my time. After quite some time, I began to experience some burnout on trophy hunting, and so took a 6-month break. However, on my return, I made the move to Steam, namely because my favourite types of games are primarily PC exclusives, these being indie horrors and all forms of RPG. Do let me know if you would like a full video going into this swap to PC from PlayStation. But since early March, I've managed 10 completions or 100%. Most of these are cleanups of shorter indie horror games, but I would like to do one of these ranking videos every 10 completions or so let's dive into the games. In last place, Supernatural. Supernatural had a lot going for it, and ultimately falls very short of delivering on all of those aspects. The game sells itself as a story-driven horror detective game that takes advantage of your microphone. And if you might have noticed, that right there ticks a lot of boxes for me. So it's unfortunate that Supernatural is ultimately just a PT demo, with a ghost that loves to tell you to be quiet as you talk smack to it over the mic. The game itself boils down to walk around a house, look for items to proceed. The worst of which is a step that requires you to find no less than 14 fuses for a fuse box. The achievements were all essentially just finding collectible sets tied to each room, which, you guessed it, can all be found within a set room. 3 of the achievements were tied to different endings, a good, a bad, and a secret ending. The secret ending being probably the coolest thing here, and being a bit of a Call of Duty Easter egg light format, but ultimately the game just didn't really do anything for me. It had a lot of cool ideas and sort of was a bit of a failing step in all of them. I do hope the developers do move on to some cooler stuff. I know that they've done a bit of a sleep insomnia sort of game that looks quite interesting. I do want to try that at some point. I believe it's called Dream Cage. But until then, let's move on to the next game on the list with Mimic Search. I think every game from 9th onwards is a game that I at the very least enjoyed, and for a free-to-play game, Mimic Search is great. You play as a police officer responding to a brutal rural roadside crime where a lady has vanished from her car and the suspect is a mimic, beings who can imitate people and are extremely dangerous. The aim of the game here is to visit all of the locations on a relatively small open world, interact with the characters at said locations, and try to catch the mimic. The final act of this game though is heart-thumping suspense at its finest, and the sound design here is top-notch. The game is a great one-and-done sort of experience, and the achievements were essentially just beat the game. Which leads us to Fears to Fathom Home Alone. Fears to Fathom is an indie horror series that has become one of my favourite series in the genre, which may become pretty apparent watching this video. There are now 5 titles in this series, all based on Reddit short stories and made by one dude, Rail. Home Alone is the first title and by far the most simple. In Home Alone, we play as a kid who is, believe it or not, home alone on a random school night. Do your homework, grab lasagna, settle in to watch TV, and casually observe someone going up the stairs. And this is where the game flips the tables and gets so intense. Supernatural could definitely steal some of the homework here on how to build on atmosphere. Which to me is one of the most important factors when making a horror game. Jump scares are good fun, but you really need to build an atmosphere, which Home Alone nails. The perfect foundation for a series that has only gotten better and better with each release. Oh hey look, another Fears to Fathom game. Norwood Hitchhike is the second title in the Fears to Fathom series and is built on the first game perfectly, by really developing a story and slapping us with multiple locations. In Norwood, we play as a young girl driving home at night when she decides to take the back roads to avoid traffic. From here, we explore a country gas station and a quiet motel. This entry really builds on the suspense and even has a good jump scare or two. The achievements here are also a lot more fun, most are still tied to the story, however there is a couple of missed trophies and these are really creative which I appreciate, including one for stealing from the gas station and one for making the attendant lose his temper. There is also one for finding a bear, which took me a couple of runs through the game to actually do. But let's divert from this series into some anomaly horror with the Cabin Factory. Cabin Factory is such a fun experience. I absolutely adore this game and I recommend it to anyone with a PC, especially because it is dirt cheap. I've really started to enjoy these anomaly titles. They spot the different style of games, and this one is one of the better ones that I've tried so far. In the Cabin Factory, we play as Greta, an older lady who has just started working at a corporation that, you guessed it, makes cabins. But there is a catch. Every now and then the cabins can be kind of maybe sort of pretty haunted, and it's our job to sort the cabins from the normal cabin to a demon cabin. The gameplay loop here is extremely simple, but it's really fun. You press a button and a cabin rolls down the conveyor belt. Go inside, determine whether the cabin is okay or needs to be immediately destroyed. Get 8 correct in a row and you win the game. But some of these cabins are pretty obviously haunted, while others are extremely subtle. We're talking things like slowly a plate might move across a table versus a guy just flat out sprinting at you. There's also a story here revolving around the family that can be found within each cabin, and I find myself coming back to this one for fun. It's the sort of game I really enjoy winding down with on the couch with my ROG ally. The achievements here are essentially just see every haunting event and witness every story section. This is a game I would highly recommend, but funny enough, it's not even the best anomaly game on this list. At the halfway mark of the video, we have the demo for Pathologic 3, Pathologic Quarantine. A free demo for the upcoming third Pathologic entry. This demo has me so excited for a full release at some point later in this year. The setting for this series is so fun. There's a deadly plague affecting the town and we must navigate it, while searching for a cure and a rumoured immortal man. I've always enjoyed this setting in media. One of my guilty pleasure horror movies is Black Death with Sean Bean. So this series is one I definitely need to find the time to go into further. I also love the intrigue behind the plague at hand. It's incredibly deadly and kills at a rapid pace, except some people have proven to be somewhat immune to the deathly symptoms, with all of these people having pre-existing ailments. And so the question is now how this alters the plague and how it can be used as a potential vaccine. The achievements in this demo are somewhat annoying to pop, however there are some great online guides that can be followed. I told you guys I like Fears to Fathom. Here's the third entry in the series, Carson House. Carson is a really fun entry. In this one we play as a guy house sitting for a rich guy your dad knows. But there is a catch. Your possessive ex-girlfriend has decided that now would be a really good time to annihilate your existence. This game utilizes a home security system that really dials in the tension as you frantically move between cameras to try and find if someone is actually stalking you or if you did just leave the door open. To make things worse, the guy you're house sitting for is currently embroiled in a messy divorce and has been receiving gifts and death threats. This entry in the series is the longest easily, taking about 2 to 3 hours to 100%. It's also the first one where you actively need to avoid a killer who can find you and react to things like sprinting. All in all, a fun time, and I'm looking forward to trying episodes 4 and 5 in the near future. The Exit 8. I love this game. I love forcing my partner to play this game. I just love everything about it. The premise is extremely simple. You are in a looping series of corridors in a subway system. Some will be normal hallways and some will have an anomaly to find. If there is nothing there, proceed forward. If there is something weird, haul ass back the way you came. What I appreciate the most here is how simple the hallway is, but how difficult it is to spot anomalies. The tiles might be different, there might be a face on the roof, the door handles. I tell you what, these door handles are quite literally the bane of my existence. And I love them for it. I do know these developers have gone on to make a sequel, The Platform 8, but I'm yet to pry myself away from this title. The achievements here are incredibly fun, but also very easy. There are only 2, simply beat the game and see every anomaly. But that takes us into the final 2 entries and the 2 larger games on this list. In second place, we have the most recent 100% review, The Sinking City. I genuinely enjoyed this title so much. From the atmosphere to the city to the glory that is Mr. Frogmorton, The Sinking City is the kind of game a developer creates out of passion, and I am so here for it. At around 12 hours to 100%, I can honestly say I enjoyed every single case the game had to offer, and exploring Oakmont never got old. The game also played a big role in me finding the fire behind making videos again, and for that I am so very grateful. The combat here is definitely clunky, and Detective Reed talks in the most monotone voice, but I just cannot say anything negative here. The achievements are also fun, with many of them being linked to choices that you can make during the cases of the game. Highly recommend giving this one a play and completing it. But at number 1, we have Robocop Rogue City. There is just something special about video games that take an IP from another medium and capture what made that IP so special, and Teon has a gift for delivering exactly this. Between Robocop and their Terminator game, they have a knack for capturing 80s action flicks and replicating them in gaming. Let's just ignore that Rambo game, that one doesn't exist. Robocop here is a 15 to 20 hour action game where we play as Alex Murphy, the robot cop, as he becomes involved in a shady investigation into a mysterious figure that is using the gangs of Detroit to strike at the mega corporation Omnicorp and the police force as a whole. The gameplay here is spot on. Robocop moves like a walking tank, as he should, and the executions are perfect. When he punches a thug, they stay punched. The gunplay is also very fun and has a weighty impact to every shot fired. The levels are also worth a quick mention, as they do a good job at capturing the city that is falling into disrepair under the umbrella of a corporation that's best interests are very grey at the best. By far my favourite parts of the game are downtown Detroit and the police precinct. They capture what the movie gave away perfectly. The achievements here are also fairly cruisy in this one. There's a couple tied to combat and a couple tied to finding things around the map, but most of the achievements are tied to the story. Anything missed can also thankfully be redone by reloading the game's incredibly robust autosave system. But this has been my first 10 Steam completions ranked on how much I enjoyed them. If you made it this far, what are the last 10 games you've completed or platinumed? Do like, comment and subscribe, this will net you the YouTube 100%, and as always, happy hunting.